Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. How are we all doing today? Chat, let me hear. Let's see who's here today. I'm excited to do some Battle Royale drafts. Did a couple. Actually, no. I was looking at the rankings and stuff last night, going over some of the projections and stuff. I think this is going to be a fun week of Battle Royale drafts. When literally the tight end is as barren as it gets. There's no Kelsey. There's no Andrews. There's no Kittle. Maybe our top tight end might even be someone like whoever plays for Las Vegas. There's some edge there. Let's take a look. So overall, how are we all doing? I think this week, really excited to kind of jump into these. I think my strategy overall is going to be I think around that tight end spot that I was referencing. It's kind of funny if you take a look at the ETR ranks. There's that Vegas tight end really is, but even then, like it's just a complete crapshoot at tight end. I'm throwing out some of the names right now: Foster Moreau, Bob Tunyon, Kyle Pitts, Gerald Everett, Zach Ertz, Hayden Hurst, Tyler Higbee, Evan Ingram. Like those are the ones that are being drafted. Those are the ones in contention. Maybe Mike Gesicki. We've seen him. I think he actually is like third in tight ends and touchdowns. It is an absolute just crapshoot over there. From kind of the big names aspects, obviously we've got Josh Allen with a top ADP there. Can play that Buffalo stack. Doesn't really matter what the Jets do or don't do. Buffalo's going to keep putting up points. With the Kyler Murray's our second QB. You got Herbert. So I don't think there's really a lack of QB options for this week through Burrow, through Rodgers. You can throw in some Geno, Tua, Brady. Lots of options there. And a couple of those in kind of the 35 plus ADP. So opportunities to get unique. From a running back, we've got a few of the bigger names off the board this week. So no McCaffrey, no Barkley, no Kamara. Maybe depending, we'll see what JT with regards to his injury. But yeah, it's there's definitely some big names missing from the running back and from the tight end spot. Wide receivers, we have a lot of the traditional ones with Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Hopkins, Diggs, Jefferson. So I think it'll be a little interesting as we do these drafts, where you're trying to find the elite guys, because I think you probably have around 5 or 6, like that first round. You've got a few, I'd say, tier above, but then how we actually start stacking, what that all looks like, it's going to be pretty interesting. Any questions, throw them in. I won't spend too much time going through it. We do have the rankings up on the ETR site, so take a look at those Underdog Battle Royale rankings. These are updated around the most recent projections. Still going to probably do a couple little tinkering, talking with Leone about those, but overall they are pretty solid there. And I'm getting ready to jump into Battle Royale draft now. We'll knock some out, and then who knows? Maybe if we have a little time, maybe we even, if it fills quickly, can do a way too early playoff best ball, or at least start talking a little early on strategy around that, which is historically one of my favorite tournaments each year. We can jump in. Crazy week. We are about to play week 9, and there is already a way too early playoff best ball. That's the actual name of it. Draft out there. Lots of opportunity with the way too early to kind of start making bets. If you take a look at some of the projections aspects, you have teams like the Chargers, like the Bengals, like the Bucks that may not even make the playoffs and are barely being drafted. But if you're willing to kind of take some chances early on, there's some. We can chat more on that later. For now, though, let's do some drafts. So we got the 5 pick here. Oh, I did not upload the ETR ranks. Let me work on that in the background real quick as we do that. I don't know if it'll update for this first one. Maybe if I X in, X out. But at the least I can get it going. Let me get those ranks going. Main slate, we're going to upload. All right, we've got the latest ranks in. Let me see if we can get out of this and go back in and out. All right, and the rankings did update there. Okay. Okay. So starting off, I think what we'll notice with the ranks, as you can see, is the biggest gap here is having Kyler substantially above the board. He's going 21, which puts you in about the 4th round. But we've got, pretty heavy on him. And I think it makes sense. Like, hey, if you grab Hopkins, you're going to want to make sure you get Kyler. Obviously, you don't need to reach nearly this far. But it's pretty easy to get that Arizona stack if that's what you want to build for, and maybe even able to kind of, hey, if you get Hopkins early, take some time, let it fall, grab Kyler in the 3rd, if not the late 2nd. And we're getting that opportunity now if we want to go with the kind of Hopkins situation. First one that we do in the show, I usually do like kind of staying a bit true to the ranks. So maybe we'll go Hopkins here, and then 17 we could try to grab Kyler. Let's see what this draft's going to look like. All right, so we'll throw Hopkins in. Going to start going in the start kind of putting the guys that we may want to grab as a late. If you have Hopkins, we'll put Kyler, Ertz. I think James Conner will be back this week. Limited in practice yesterday. Looks like he will be back. I think here, instead of reaching for Kyler, we'll probably just want to grab kind of a best available aspect. Let's grab Aaron Jones if I can do it in time. I missed my pick. Okay, we grabbed Kyler. Was too busy getting the queue. That's okay. We got our QB. Not the worst thing in the world in that situation, especially with the stream. And hey, maybe one of you guys wanted to snipe me there. But so we'll grab Kyler. And again, here, I'm pretty happy with kind of grabbing Ertz. If I'm going to do a double stack in these battle royales, I'm pretty much only going to do it if it is 2 very high upside wide receivers, something like a Tua with a Tyreek and Waddle. But in this situation with the Cardinals, like, it doesn't really make sense for me to try to grab like a Rondale Moore if I already have Hopkins. I think when you're going against kind of the elite, when we think of DFS with salary caps, if you grab Rondale Moore, it's giving the opportunity to really kind of spend elsewhere. In these, that's not really the case. You're still going to have to compete against the absolute elite guys. And so I'm probably, if Kyler and Hopkins have that huge game, it's unlikely Rondale then does enough for him to warrant being in the lineup. Ertz, on the other hand, only has to, only has to beat out the other tight ends. And in a week where the tight ends are this bad, I've got no problem kind of going with the double stack for this situation here. With the bring back, I think with the Seahawks, there's a lot of kind of opportunities here. Kenneth Walker is probably going to be the most, chalky, but we could. I don't mind the Kenneth Walker if we do get him to fall to us at one of these. If not, we have the Lockett, have the Metcalf, so we can put those up there. Taking a look here, I think I'm going to go with the Kenneth Walker. Take a chance that VR Chota doesn't want to grab Ertz. I mean, obviously it is the lowest ADP available, I think, it's around. Yeah, you've got Kyle Pitts, you got Gerald Everett. It's probably unlikely that he reaches for Ertz unless it's just purely for a snipe aspect. We're going to take Lockett and Metcalf out of the queue. Could go for a big game stack with one of those two. It's not a horrible idea. I mix it in sometimes. So maybe I'll at least just keep him in as an option for later on. I think 30.7 means you're being drafted in just about all the drafts. You're not really getting too much edge there. Lockett, yeah, he's got the injuries, but he did look good last week. Almost had that second touchdown. I think most likely in this situation where they're both being drafted a decent amount, you still have the injury risk, and we are investing in Kenneth. I'll probably not throw in a full game stack with another Seattle, and maybe for the rest, hey, we needed a wide receiver, and then whatever the other flex spot is, maybe get a mini game stack or something. Oh, I see you, Greg. So Greg's saying he's number 5, got Tua sniped. Let's go to the draft board, see what you were looking at, Greg. No, I'm number 5. No. I'm the 5 pick, Greg. Greg's talking crazy. I'm confused. I'm going to assume he's the 4 pick. There you go. Got sniped on Tua after going Hill and Waddle. Yeah, that's tough. That literally happened last time we were on stream too. It just doesn't make sense for someone to grab Tua when Tyreek and Waddle are both gone. There's just zero upside. I think your chances of winning are pretty much stone dead. I don't know how Tua has a big enough week without Tyreek or Tua also having huge weeks. Tyreek and or Tua. Okay, if we're looking for kind of a late stack here, all these guys are getting drafted, so we do want to get a bit off the board, go a bit contrarian. If I'm looking through the ranks of like, hey, who are the guys not really being drafted much that we still have as high projections? Kind of few here. Mostert is interesting. Like, do we think that Jeff Wilson immediately comes in and plays a role, or could Mostert kind of have a stronger opportunity? Like, we're not scared of Chicago at all this year, so I'll throw him as a possibility. There's not much of a bring back in the Chicago side that we'd be interested in. You could go Buff. You could go Singletary. No Zach Moss. Not expecting Nyheim Hines to come in immediately. I really don't love either of these. If I think from a wide receiver side, you could go Adam Thielen and Gibson. It's really ugly. I'm going to go with it. I don't think anyone, I think because it's so ugly, but our project, got to trust the projection to some degree. I don't think, Irv is gone. I don't think Hawks can come in and take a major role in week 1. So maybe you can have that Thielen gets 2 touchdowns. And I saw Gibson was right here from a projection wise and very little drafted at all. So we'll move Gibson up to top, take Gibson, finish out this team with that mini stack. So as a kind of recap here, we have our Kyler, Hopkins, Ertz with the Walker game stack. And then we grab the mini with Antonio and Thielen, both of these 35.9. 35.9 I have as being drafted in probably around 2 to 3% of drafts. Very, very little. Grabbing the two of them together kind of, I don't think many people are doing like the, mini stacks as we've talked about. So, hey, getting very unique to go with a chalky stack to begin with. Don't hate it. Low likelihood with those two, but those are the stuff that we're really looking at. There you go. Burn both our $5. That's true, Greg. I mean, hey, to be honest, Greg, I think you could still I think it's definitely possible to still win with a Waddle, Tyreek, and no Tua. Let me draft. Let's jump into another. I was going to see, I can't see with the completed draft of who you ended with from a QB. So put that in chat because I'm curious. But I hope that you ended with someone at the QB that maybe has some rushing upside. Maybe you still got a mini stack somewhere else. But I think that's where, like, hey, at the end of the day, you still need that new QB to outscore Tua. It's tough if you've got the two. Completely agree. Very hard. Shame on the person for sniping to there. All right, we'll jump in another. Let's see what kind of spot we get. Herbert Everett. There you go. Yeah, and we know that Herbert, traditionally can have that still substantial upside. He's really not running that much. Not that he ran a ton last year, but we're still kind of limited in. We're still limited a bit with Herbert, but like, hey, you have that rushing upside with maybe him and Eckler just go completely off. I don't know. Maybe you have Everett actually elevates into a role because they're not going to have Keenan or Mike Williams or such. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's tough. All right. Sorry. James asking earlier, what's your early pick strategy this week? Locking up Allen or leaning towards top RBs and wide receivers? I think, yeah. So let's see, where's my drafts completed? No. Okay. So I was just looking at them last night. That's right. Yeah. So I would say with the Josh Allen aspect, I think that it's still like the right choice. Like Diggs is 5.5. There's a small chance that like he actually falls back. I think particularly if you're not in the 1 spot and you're able to grab Josh Allen in like the 2, 3, 4 for whatever reason people let them fall. I think then I'm 100% taking it. and hoping that I get the Diggs. If Diggs doesn't go, though, you can still obviously get the Gabe Davis very easily. I think people are slowing and shying away from Gabe Davis a little just because he throws out these kind of dud games. But we know that he has this kind of game in him. We still know he has the big play upside. I'm still very happy putting Gabe on any of my stack teams with Josh Allen, and Josh Allen's projections are just substantially higher than any other QB related from a value above replacement angle. So I'd still be grabbing the Josh Allen. Josh Allen goes, I mean, just trying to always see like, okay, if I take that first pick, what does the rest of my team start looking like? And yeah, if you want to go with the Eckler route, you've got your choice if you wanted to stack there, or it then puts you in play for, you know, the other QB stacks and such. I really feel like this is kind of a, hey, choose your own path kind of week, where other than Josh Allen, you can get just about any stack that you want, depending on where your draft falls. Let's see what this Miami one looks like. So with Miami, we could go Tua. I mean, let's try this one. We're going to go Tyreek 2. We're going to hope Tua falls to us at 11, which 10.2, okay, at 11. And then if he does, we shouldn't have any issue grabbing Tua with the 14th. So these are the kind of ones where like, hey, it's a great start. We saw Dave tried to do it last draft. If you're able to complete it, it's not going to be the most unique thing. But I think like, hey, it still gives you that, you know, high game opportunity, high score game opportunity. And we look for the contrarian options with the rest of the plays. Anyone else from chat in this one? I see Delco Dave. Let us know if you're in chat. What else are you looking at? How have these been going for everyone earlier this week? Are there any things that kind of pop out? So for this stack, I think that's one of the things that's interesting about tight end is because there is no real elite one. I think like Everett's getting drawn up because of Herbert and the no Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Kyler, and the Zach Ertz aspect. See if Dawson Knox is getting drafted much. Dawson Knox 35.2, not too much there. But I think, you know, hey, that's another option for if you miss out on the Steph Diggs and you want to go with Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox. Both of those could easily hit, with Gabe Davis being the big play. Dawson Knox only needs one touchdown. I mean, we're really in a place with these tight ends where if someone gets a touchdown, they're going to have a good chance of elevating above the rest of the field. Okay, coming back to us, let's get these Miami ones in the queue. Get Waddle, get Tua. With Chicago, I really don't see much of a need to do a bring back on this. Yes, we want Chicago to keep it competitive. We don't want them to just slowly run the ball. But on that Bears team, there's no one that I really feel like is has that substantial upside that makes me really want them or need them. And I mean, the ADPs do suggest it. If you do enough, you can definitely mix in like a Darnell Mooney or something. Not expecting Claypool, obviously, to have much of a role for this week. But we know Mooney does have that bigger play upside. But I wouldn't say this is a team that I'm needing or really fighting to get that bring back. All right, so we know we're going to get the Waddle here. Forgot to mention he grabbed Josh Allen, so that makes we know we get the Tua as a clear stack partner there. So now we're going to start looking at, okay, what do we want to do with regards from a running back with and a tight end, and then figure out that last flex spot. What are kind of some of from the chat? What are some of the stacks and mini stacks or kind of the late flyers that you are looking at? One thing I think of note is, so with the ETR rankings, you can see we do have Foster Moreau at the top right now. 35.9. Usually we love seeing that. Means not being drafted much, but I will caution, I probably wouldn't be drafting him right now for anyone. The smarter play would be to take Waller, because if Waller does play, then Foster Moreau's pretty much dust. And we're getting probably the highest projected tight end on the slate in Waller. If Waller doesn't play, then we'll use that swap. We'll use that queue and go over to Moreau. And now we're still getting who, we have at, ETR still has is kind of the highest projected tight end in the case Waller doesn't play. But, you eliminate that risk of, oh, you draft Foster and Darren plays. Here you're getting the best of both worlds. So little tip there. Moreau should not be being drafted at all. Darren Waller should be being drafted in pretty much every draft, especially this week. And honestly, like with these shows, I'm not sure, I know there's a couple other, the Badge Bros are doing some stuff. I know Spike Week's doing some stuff. I'm curious to see like how much ADP will shift throughout the week other than injuries, because it really doesn't seem like there's that much content on these battle royales. There's that much discussion, because if there was, honestly, Darren Waller's ADP should be so high, so much higher. Like he should be clearly, he should be arguably the best ADP, the lowest ADP, highest ADP, whatever, the earliest drafted of anyone, just because of the risk profile and the opportunity for, if he does play, we get him. If he doesn't, we can do that swap to Moreau. But the casual users aren't paying attention to that swap aspect, aren't paying attention to the Foster Moreau target share that he had last week, 9 targets. Didn't do much with it. The entire team was very inefficient, obviously, against New Orleans, not putting up any points, but we love the role that he played. All right, so if we consider that we're going to get Waller, let's see, maybe, I'm sure ETN's are, ETN's got a very high draft pick. Christian Kirk's a decent if we wanted to grab a last wide receiver to maybe go with the mini stack with Waller. With a running back wise, we're pretty chalky. I think, when I'm thinking between like a Mixon and a Fournette here, I think from an actual projections and what we have, it's fairly substantial. Like there is a substantial gap there. And then if you look at from like an ADP, 33.8 is substantially lower, but I think 33.8 is still being drafted. I'll check my spreadsheet in a second. Let me put this at the top. 33.8 is still being drafted in at least 50% of drafts. And so maybe like there is some, if that drops down to like that 34.5, 35, I'd probably be willing to grab that gap. But in this situation, give me some Mixon right at the ADP. Give me a stronger team, because I'm expecting my last 2 picks are going to be pretty off the board with the Waller, maybe a mini stack, maybe instead of Kirk, go DJ Moore. Not getting any uniqueness there. But you're getting the mini stack against Joe Mixon. See, I'm probably leaning towards the Kirk and Waller. If we can make this work, I'll go Waller with this one and then Kirk with the next. Yep, James, right? James didn't see these comments, but what I was saying, yep, Waller and Kirk, Mixon, Moore, exactly. The ones that I'm looking at here makes complete sense. Those feel right. All right. Roto Run, John Warner going, likes the Aaron Jones plus the Sun God, Naked Waller, Brady doubles. Okay, let's grab Waller here. Lock that in, and now we know we've got two stabs at the bring back. Let's take a look at that Tampa one. So Godwin 31, Mike Evans 20, both these being drafted in most drafts. Lenny, can always be a stack partner with Brady with the amount of catches that he gets, and then Brady's just not being drafted that often, 35.1. Hey, if you're able to grab Cooper Kupp, I think building a Brady double or a Brady single, Brady single with Cooper Kupp, Brady single with Lenny, I think those are all in play. Hey, we've got the game environment that, like, if we can see those offense actually, clicking, we could get that high scoring game. It is home for the Bucs. You're not getting the dome aspect. No, I still like that one a lot too. All the Seattle, Arizona minis available late too. They definitely are. the ADPs on Seattle are just a little wonky with DK. Like 30.7 just isn't enough. That's still probably being drafted in like 80-90% of drafts. So you're not, even though it's available late, you're not really getting that that unique angle that I'm looking for with my later picks. Lockett a little. I probably would actually favor Lockett and knowing that, like, hey, he still played. He played through the injuries. He hasn't really missed the games. If he does sit out, we have that swap opportunity. And like, yeah, this could have been such a bigger game. He literally had that one in the end zone. That was another long, I think it was like a 40-yard pass or so. Could have easily had 102 and would have been a strong. And like, yeah, I think last week I was pretty heavy on this because once the report started looking like DK and Lockett were both going to play. Christian Kirk, Dave, what'd you do there? Hi, you went to the mini stack with Devontae. Fair enough. No harm, no foul. I'll grab DJ Moore here, get the bring back on the Mixon. Still going to get the uniqueness with a Waller or a Morrow situation. But yeah, so I was saying for last week, like I went pretty heavy on the Geno Smith stacks once it looked like DK and Lockett were going to play, getting the doubles. Ended up not working out because it was just such a ridiculous week with the, two double stacks and the Jalen and AJ Brown. But I still like the process because I was getting both of those with very, very little ownership. Both did end up playing, looking pretty good. Hopkins was the easy bring back for those as well, who smashed, but just wasn't able to beat out those kind of big chalky weeks out of the Dolphins and the Eagles. All right, let's see. Let's a question or two real quick, and then we can decide. Let's actually see what it would look like to do. We'll hold off. They've been feeling a little slow. I was going to maybe consider doing those way too early. We'll do one of those in the future. If it is something with the way too early playoff ones that you guys are interested in, let me know either on Twitter or put a comment on the YouTube channel afterwards that you are interested. Maybe we'll even do like a special show devoted specifically to that. Because I think there's a lot of opportunity this early in making kind of bets. You can basically create your teams at will if you're willing to go with a team that is a little lower likelihood of making the playoffs, but has substantial upside players in the situation they do. Greg asked, with tight end so bad this week, would you prioritize correlation with your QB? Or would you rather try and go way off the board and hope for the one-off TD? Yeah, I think with QBs, with Herbert, with Kyler, I think it makes sense. I mean, even with Josh Allen, I think it's fine. I would say, like, I definitely won't change my QB because, like, I'm not going to go try to start grabbing some Mariota so I can stack with Pitts or some Rodgers to stack with Tunyon or some Derek Carr. But I think for the QBs, like, if you wanted to do a game stack and, like, hey, you got the Josh Allen, you grab Gabe, you want to throw in Dawson. You have Kyler and Hopkins, you want to throw in Ertz. You have Herbert, and you just maybe Eckler. Eckler's going to catch so many passes this week, so I don't hate it. Like, and you want to throw in Everett. I don't mind those at all. I mean, Burrow, same thing. You go with the double stack of just grabbing a Higgins and a Hurst or a Boyd and a Hurst. But also I'm expecting, like, there's a reason why those guys are getting drafted. That's why, like, I think my tight end strategy is going to, unless these ADPs start changing, I'm just going to be very heavy on Waller and Foster probably throughout the entire week. Okay. We can try again for the Miami. Oh, yeah, would have rather gone Eckler to get something new for this draft, but sometimes you just got to take the way that things fall. We're going to grab Tyreek here, have a better chance of getting Waddle at the 10 spot. We know Mathology can't grab Tua, so just got to hope that NF42 doesn't grab Tua after we grab Waddle with the 10 spot. And maybe this time, let's see. We'll see what we can do a little different to make it a bit more of a unique draft. One thing for sure is we definitely never want to have the exact same draft. When we think of best ball, when we think of the playoff best ball, there's value in drafting the exact same thing because you've got to advance out of your round. And you have different teams that are, competing against you, different makeups for each round. For this, it's just one round and you're not competing just against, your people here. It's literally everyone. And so if you draft two of the exact same team, that's the same thing as entering a GPP with the exact same lineup. Like, it just, you're missing out on opportunity to kind of get differentiation, even if it is as a one-off at the very end. So definitely want to make sure as you're drafting not to draft the exact same. But like last time, we ended up getting the DJ Moore at the end. We could do this exact same team and get Christian Kirk. And yes, Christian Kirk, DJ Moore aren't that different. But if one of those has the higher upside, one of them has the kind of breakout, could really be the, what you needed for that team to be the main differentiator. We're going to let's take a look at the board, see what other people look like they're maybe building out here. So Diggs falls to 6, goes with the strong wide receiver build. I mentioned this last week. I still think like, hey, this may not be the week to do it. Maybe if you grab Eckler and something falls, but like I rarely see people going for the RB. And I think it's because you only need to start that one RB. But when there are weeks that there are like stronger running backs, I think Christian McCaffrey, obviously not this week because he's not in the main, but going forward is going to be one of the first, top 2-3 picks each week. When you have the opportunity to grab like a CMC and then another elite running back, and that's actually a unique build in this structure, I think that's something we really should be considering. This week here, I could see it with if you grab like Eckler and Aaron Jones, just because like Aaron Jones, we've seen like what happened the last 2 weeks since Rodgers really said he wanted to simplify that offense. It's going to show, yeah. There we go with the Aaron Jones. Since they wanted to simplify that offense, he's just been the core kind of main instrument in there, both from a receiving as well as kind of a rushing. AJ Dillon's role just substantially decreased. So like, hey, if you do believe that like, hey, those are 2 elite guys, I think you perfectly fine. Start RB. Let me set this up for Tua. And you're getting uniqueness just from that RB start there. Yep. Love what you did at 42 there, taking what we're talking about. Take that Eckler, take that Aaron Jones. And because this week it's so easy to do late stacks that we talked about, you're not really given much up there. Yeah, you're not going to grab Kyler and be able to grab Hopkins, but you could go Herbert with your Eckler. You could go Burrow and Boyd later. So definitely options there. We'll grab Tua. No, when you're grabbing the 2 wide receivers, no reason to really get cute and risk it. Okay. The other thing with regards to like grabbing someone like Mooney is we do already started with our 2 wide receivers. Like for one of those situations where you're playing like a Chicago, but maybe you were going Chiefs and you have Mahomes, Kelsey, and Juju. That's when I'm probably also a little more likely to play someone like Darnell because I need that wide receiver. And a lot of the late wide receivers, they do have a lot of kind of bust potential. So any form of boom is helpful. When the running backs that are available, or we can always take that tight end at the very end. That's when I'm probably less likely to throw in someone like a Mooney in this situation. So I will probably look for a running back. We're in the same spot as we were last time with regard to this Mixon Fournette situation. Another tab right now, I've got the running backs, some kind of projections, and just so we look at. So like we've got Mixon projected at 16.3, ceiling of 22.9. Lenny is 14.2, ceiling of 20.5. So about 2 points less. Not something that like, hey, we can't grab Lenny. But like it is a substantial difference. I think in this one though, Higbee's 34.7. Maybe we do like a Lenny and a Higbee. I think that's a nice little mini stack there. There's Higbee, and our Higbee's a little further down. His role hasn't been as great lately. 15 yards and 7 yards the last 2 weeks. That is a hard button to click. Oh, I don't like that. I'm just trying to convince myself for something other than these Las Vegas tight ends, and it's really hard to do. I'm still going to grab Lenny. I still like it. grab the Darren Waller. Honestly, I'd probably be more willing to go with like an Allen Robinson here, who's not being drafted at all, but he still is getting so many of those red zone targets. I like this build a little more from a bring back with Allen Robinson. Let's take a look at our projections, because Allen Robinson does feel like he should be being drafted more than about 0% of drafts. We have him at projected 7, ceiling 11. That feels ugly. Definitely feels ugly. Definitely get why he's not being drafted, but I also do know that he does have he does have that touchdown upside with the targets that we've seen, even though he just hasn't realized it. All right, I'm going to grab Waller here. Looking at this, again, we have the chalky Tua Tyreek Waddle. We're not going to go with a bring back for anyone Chicago. Lenny's still fairly chalky at 33.8, still being drafted, we think, in around 50% of drafts. Darren Waller or Foster Moreau with the eventual swap, and we're going way off the board with Allen Robinson. Give me 2 touchdowns from Allen Robinson, and we're feeling pretty good. I'm trying to talk myself through, does it make sense to go with someone as off the board, as low projected as Allen Robinson? I'm not doing it because of the bring back. That mini game stack isn't as important for me. And so if I accept the mini game stack isn't that important, I might just be giving up way too many points from a projected, compared to Tyler Lockett and DK are projected for a little more than 13 points. That's pretty much double what Allen Robinson is. It may just be too cute to be grabbing Allen Robinson here. Thinking through. I'm going to put Tyler Lockett here. That 34.6 tells me that he's being drafted in around 35 or so percent of drafts, so about a third of them, versus 0. But that 2x projection, maybe I'll work in an Allen Robinson later on when it's more of a game stack aspect than the mini. But I think in this, I'm going to take the projected points, still getting some contrarian aspects, but playing Lockett in that good game environment against Arizona. Okay. A-Rob makes sense because of the Cup context too with the injury. Yep, that's very fair. If that Cup actually does come on a little strong, I mean, same with Higbee there too. That's a good point. And maybe I'll start doing a little more kind of, but I like what we were saying with the game stack. I think if I'm going to go with the Bucks, if I want to go with the Bucks single or Bucks double, that's when I'm willing to kind of invest a bit more in that game. And that's when maybe if I don't get Cup, I go off the board with an Allen Robinson or with a Tyler Higbee. All right, we're coming up around 40 minutes. We got 3 drafts in. Appreciate all of you all for stopping by and chatting it up. As I mentioned, we're going to continue doing these each week, but we may throw in some of those way too early playoff drafts as well. If that's something that people are interested in, you can find those in the lobby. Play around with those. Let me know. Put it, as I mentioned, in the comments afterwards, or shoot me a put it on Twitter or something. Let me know that is something people are interested in, and happy to run some of those in the future too if there's interest. Other than that, I'm going to be, I just started doing these today. As I said, I started looking at the rankings last night. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a decent amount this week. I really like how things are stacking up, how things really look. And if I think my big takeaway, even though I've got Justin Fields as the poster boy, was the cover boy for this. And I will definitely get some field stacks. He has been phenomenal for the past 2-3 weeks. I think if that Foster Moreau, that Darren Waller, that's the one that's going to be, if there was a flag plant situation, that's what I'd be flag planting for this week. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Cheers, chat. Thank you, Evan, for joining us. Fun drafting with you all. I will see you all next week, or I'll see you in the lobbies. All right. Later. Let's get that outro.